Yay! Hey, Shannon, welcome in, and Maggie as well. It's so great to see you guys here. Um, my headphones are not doing what I want them to do. And it's so great, and thank you for making friends with the like button, Shannon. I was able to just hop into your stream for a little while, but I think I missed quite some sessions of yours. But it was great to be able to join you, especially today. Now that you're one moment, because my phone is doing weird. Yes, there we go, that's better. It should be better. Yes. And then, yeah, now that your book has launched today, so I'm very happy for you that happened. And Shannon, you say you have a hard time wearing headphones with your partial tone deafness. I can imagine that, yes. And you feel like you can't make out individual words when you're speaking. Well, for me, it's okay. Luckily, I'm not tone deaf, so that helps, and it also prevents that you guys hear an echo of the sound, because during the writing sessions, I have the birds singing. And if I don't have my headphones on, then I won't hear that, but I also won't hear when the session ends, if I don't have the headphones on and I turn off the sound on my laptop. So it's a workaround, but yeah, for me it's fine. Luckily, but I need to think that I wear my headphones the right way, because there's a left side and right side on the headphone, and that really changes how things are feeling around my ears. So yeah. So congratulations again, Shannon. Let me see if I can grab the link to your book. I know you pasted it in your own chat, but let me think. Shannon, you say, yeah, you think most people don't have your issues with their headphones. Yeah, I think so as well. One moment, I am going to find your link, because I don't think you can post. Can you post? Oh, you can post your link. Yes, feel free to post. You should be able to post your link on in the chat, in the YouTube chat, and then I will copy and paste it for the people on Twitch. So feel free to post a link to your newly released book. That's awesome, and it's so fun to be able to support friends who have just released their books. I mean, Tish released her book a couple of months ago. You released your book today, and it's awesome. I'm so happy for you guys. I am still working on my books. I will be publishing them at some point in the future. But yeah, it's just great to be able to support you guys this way. I feel that it is important to do that. Okay, let me see. Yes, A Curse of Wings and Gems. You can buy them right here. For the people in Twitch, I will grab the link for you guys and post it for you guys as well, as you guys can see it. Where's my Twitch? Here it is. There we go. So, A Curse of Wings and Gems, guys, check it out. And for those of you who are wondering, let me grab the. Yep, here we go. The this short description. She yearns to belong, he hungers to escape torment. Drawn together by destiny, can this enchanted pair survive to claim an undying love? So if you want to know more about it, if you want to check out the book, check out the link that's in the chat at this moment, and then you can buy it. I wish you all a lot of fun with that. And right now we are, yep, everything is still running. Now, you might be wondering why I'm checking that, but I had problems with streaming to YouTube and Twitch because my streaming software was, let me just say, not acting as it was supposed to act. So it seems to be solved right now. So I'm very happy with that. So let's get into things. It is the 20th of January, which also means it is the 20th day of the Golden Quill Month. And the Golden Quill Month, for those of you who don't know, is an event that Dida, the moderator here on the channel and the admin of the Fantasy Tavern Discord, and I set up. Wait, let me grab you guys the link for the Discord. If all goes well, this should work. Let me see. Yes, there we go. Dida and I set it up because we felt that the focus on solely word counts during certain events didn't match with our experiences anymore and didn't match with our process. And that's when we decided to set up the Golden Quill Month, in which we celebrate all progress throughout your writing projects for the entire month. And we do that the whole year in the Discord. And we celebrate the Golden Quill Month 4 times a year: January, April, September, and November. So feel free to join us and celebrate all your progress. And Shannon, you say, thank you for letting you drop a link. Yes, of course, of course. And Mama Maggie, that's good. You are listening to a beta book now, but you are now back to editing. Let us know how things are going with editing. For those who would like to join the Fantasy Tavern Discord, here's the link. And we are. The Fantasy Tavern is born from the original NaNoWriMo camps, and it's just fun. We came together and we continued, and people who were back then in the camps with us are still on the Discord, so that's great, and we continue things with that. So yeah. Sharon, you said you left that. Oh, thank you very much. And we in the tavern we welcome published authors and unpublished authors. We share experiences, give each other feedback, give each other support. You can ask for sparring partners just for the moment or for a longer time. Just feel free to do that, and we will help you as much as we can. So yeah, that's about the Golden Quill Month. Oh, and for those who don't know me, my name is Ilse. I am a magic wielding dragon companion and creator of worlds. And one of the worlds I have created is Tergaenae, and that is what I am writing in right now. Well, right now. I am writing the story Go Fly, which will become available sometime this year for free for all my newsletter subscribers. And I am also writing the Tergaenae Chronicles, which is a large project, but it's good. It's fun to do, and that takes place about 10 years, or I should say, the Go Fly story takes place about 10 years before the main storyline, and in the main storyline. There are a few characters who refer to this exact story, to this exact moment, and that is why I felt it was fun to share that with you guys. So that's going to be my first official published story, but it will be for free. And besides GoFly and the main series, the Tergaenae Chronicles, I have also planned, I'm not deeply working on it right now, I'll get to that in a bit, but I've also planned the confectioner's journey and the ways of the courtesans, and something with fruit growers. I haven't thought about that one all in too much yet. Why I say I'm not going too deep into the confectioner's journey, it's a little bit yes and no. One of the main characters, or the main male character, the male lead of the confectioner's journey, also plays in GoFly, and he also has a role in the Tergaenae Chronicles. But he plays in GoFly, and I discovered that I needed to find out more about where he came from, what the political situation is there, and how that influences not only him, but also Nejat, who is the main character for GoFly, and also for the main series, the Tergaenae Chronicles. So I needed to know exactly what that political situation is, where in a country where Zan comes from. Zan is the male lead of the confectioner's journey, and it just so happens that he comes from the same country as Nejat comes from, namely Tualma. So yeah, there was some things I needed to figure out. Now I know quite some things right now about the political situation there, and I can tell you guys, let's just say it's complicated. And it's something that Zan will have to deal with, both in the confectioner's journey and in the main series, the Tergaenae Chronicles. And Nejat will also have to deal with it, both in GoFly and in the main series, the Tergaenae Chronicles. We'll see how that works out, because there are several things that, let's just say, can cause quite some tension. So yeah, I'll see how that works out. But it's fun nonetheless, and I spent some time diving into Tualma, seeing what the political situation is, but also seeing how the political system is, not only the current situation of how relationships are built right now, but also Tualma is an empire. Originally, I thought it was a kingdom, but it turns out it is an empire with princedoms. In a way, can you call it that way? I think so. And the empire is for the overall everything, and the princedoms each have their own prince as a ruler, and things are really complicated with that. And Mama Maggie, you say you love listening to world building stuff. Oh, thank you so much. Thank you. I love talking about it. Sometimes I talk about it way too much, but yeah, it's so much fun to do that. And I have to say, world building is awesome to do. It is fun to do, but I do try to limit myself to really world build what I need. So I didn't completely dive into the political system of Tualma, for example, until I needed it. And it's a good thing that I did, because I did that now, these last few days, because like I said, it turns out Tualma is an empire instead of a kingdom. And there is so much going on there, so many complications, and that it's incredible. And Shannon, you say, agreed, world building is so fun. Yeah, it is. And sometimes you can just focus on a teeny tiny thing. Like, one of the things that you will find in the future in the main Tergaenae Chronicles is there is also there is a festival that is all about the making of silk in Tergaenae, or rather in the Silk and Bamboo Empire in Tergaenae. That is where Nejat comes from. And at first, I didn't really think about that. I was just like, okay, silk comes from that empire, and that's it. Until I dove into silk making and the different kinds of silk, and that's when the festival was born, and that I realized that Nejat might see that festival or might be a part of that festival at some point. And that's when I knew that I had to dig a little deeper into that and to know what I can do with it. And I mean, it's just, sometimes it's just a few tiny things, but in this case it's a festival, and there are, I mean, I don't describe how the silk is being made until the smallest details, but Nejat will see, and other characters, if they join, they will see the grander picture of how things are done in the silk production, and that is what matters. And that's what's so fun about it. And also, I have a completely different thing, and that's what the main Tergaenae Chronicle series opens with, is the turtle release, the official turtle release. That is also a big thing in Silk and Bamboo. I dove into that because it's not only a big thing in Silk and Bamboo, but I also just like turtles. I mean, that's just a fun thing. So I think turtles is the correct way. I mean the ones that swim in the sea, not the land turtles. I think those are called tortoise. Am I correct about that? I think so. So I dove into that because I like turtles, and I wanted them to be a part of the Silk and Bamboo Empire, because I know they also visit coral reefs and things like that. And the Silk and Bamboo Empire is an empire that is located in the midst of coral reefs. And it's incredible. I used Bora Bora, which is a real island here on Earth. I used that as inspiration for the Silk and Bamboo Empire archipelago. And it's so incredible to see how things can work. And that, for example, coral reef can actually protect such an island. And I made it into an island group, a huge island group. Think thousands of islands, and they are protected by coral reef. There's a whole story behind that, which you will also see in the first book of the Tergaenae Chronicles. There's a lot going on, or there has been a lot going on in the past to come to the archipelago that the Silk and Bamboo Empire archipelago is right now. And it's incredible, and it's fun to think about that, and it's fun to discover how things can work and how you can make things work. And yeah, that's so fun with world building and with all kinds of things. And I love that. And one of the things, and that's something I will make a video about later on. I'm in the process of, or rather, I should say, I'm preparing right now the video, recording and things like that. I have a fantasy creature that's completely my own design, my own concept, I should say. And I asked an artist friend of mine to actually make her, to bring her alive. And he has done an amazing job. I really love what he has created, and I'm working with him. We're going to make a video in which you can also see the process, but also hear about this particular creature, and it's called the flutter nymph. And one of the flutter nymphs in Tergaenae also has an important role in the Tergaenae Chronicles. So you will see her when I release that video sometime in February. I'm not exactly sure when yet, but that will come. And the fun thing is, she is inspired, or the species also is inspired by an animal here on Earth. And that's all I can say right now, because otherwise I'm going to tell you guys way too much, and I want to save that for the video. But I really dove into that, and I dove into how things can work, and if it can really be like I envisioned it to be. And I talked about it with my artist friend, for example. He is deep into paleo art, and he really knows stuff, so that's awesome to have him give feedback also on my concept. And I was very happy that he did that. And it's an incredible creature, and to be able to see her in Tergaenae, have her play that role, that's incredible. I mean, originally I didn't have that in mind. It was just like, oh, I can use that. Oh, that would be a fun creature to see it around in Tergaenae. And then the flutter nymphs as a whole became very important, and this little creature became very important. So yeah, that's how she grew into becoming one of the creature characters in Tergaenae and in the Tergaenae Chronicles. She's not going to be in Go Fly, although there is a flutter nymph in Go Fly. But it's just so wonderful to be able to do that, and to be able to get that in your world, in a world that you've created yourself, and or to make it possible here on Earth. For example, if you are creating any kind of story that is in one way or another set here on Earth, with changes or urban fantasy, or a hidden magical portal, things like that. And if you manage to include fantasy creatures in Earth, or in your own world, that's just awesome to do that, and to be able to do that. And I'm really happy with that. So yeah, that's the beauty, I think, of world building. It's not only that, especially when you have a second world, that you need to do world building. After all, how else are you going to let people live in that world? But it's also just a fun process. And yes, you have a risk of world builder's disease. I mean, yeah, I know that. But that's why I try to limit myself to only do world building, especially when I start to write, to only do world building when I need it for my books, when I need it for my story. I mean, at some point you need to do some world building because you don't have a world yet, and you need some basics to be able to let people live in that world. But at some point you also just need to start to write. Mama Maggie, you say you have to stop world building to start writing because you love world building so much. Yeah, I mean, it's just so incredible, and it's fun to do. Mama Maggie, you say, says the writer with a 50k world building doc for Relic of Time of War. Yeah, I feel you. I hear you. If I take together all my notes that I have written for Tergaenae, in word count, I think I'm close to let's just say a full-blown novel. But it's just world building notes. That's not a novel. I mean, in the future, I might do something with it. I mean, I might make a creature index or something, or an atlas or whatever. I don't know yet. To give readers more of Tergaenae than only the novels. I mean, it would be awesome to have a creature index or encyclopedia or whatever it's gonna call, just to show all the creatures. That would be just fun. Mama Maggie, you say, raise your hand if your world building would make a great tabletop role-playing game. Not only tabletop. I've created a world for a video game. Unfortunately, I had to put that in the freezer due to circumstances. But yeah, I mean, it's so fun to do that, and you can do so much with it. I remember I played a Dungeons and Dragons session. I had never played it, but I played it with a few writing friends of mine, and three of us didn't know a thing about Dungeons and Dragons, and only one, she was the dungeon master. She had played it, and she'd played it regularly, so she had chosen a whatever it's called, when you go out for a journey with your players. And I remember, I mean, we made our characters first, and that was fun. That was fun to do. And then we got into the game, and I think the scenario that she chose was something that you could easily play in an hour, maybe an hour and a half, and that would be it. Yeah. You shouldn't try to do that when you have, let's say, several people who like world building and who will look for any and all options to try to solve something. I remember we went to a forest or something, and we were met with someone with a broken cart or wagon or whatever, and a hole in the ground, and we spent an hour or maybe even an hour and a half figuring out how to get the people out of that hole and how to get that wagon out of that hole and all kinds of other things. And at some point it was like, okay, do we have a rope? And the dungeon master was, you want to know what? Yeah, do we have a rope? Sure, you have a rope. What are you gonna do with that? Oh, we have options. And we went over so many things that by the end that we said, okay, it's time to go home. We hadn't progressed that far in the game, but we had loads of fun. It was really awesome to do. And it was it was just so fun because we kept asking questions and she just didn't expect that. And the fun part is she's an author as well. I mean, she's a published author. I am an unpublished author, but I really love world building. And one of our other friends is also an author, unpublished. The fourth is not an author, but likes fantasy, so she just went along in the process. So yeah, it was hilarious, and we had an awesome time. So yeah, I can see things happening in tabletop role-playing games. Yeah, that's just hilarious. Mama Maggie say you love D&D, so much fun. Yeah, I mean, I've never played it. Besides that one time, it was a lot of fun. But they are really half an hour away or something, so it's not something that you easily plan. And we all had plans for other things as well. And she was in a campaign, that was it, a campaign, with other friends of hers. So this was just for the fun, for just in between to get us to know D&D, and yeah, it was fun. And who knows, maybe I will do it in the future again. I have no idea. We'll see about that. But yeah, I mean, world building is, how shall I say that? Sure, you can get the so-called world builder's disease, but that's when you keep on world building and you just don't write a word. Luckily, at some point, I mean, I remember when I first started with the Tergaenae Chronicles, it was about 10 years ago. Yeah, give or take. At that time, I had a completely different concept of the story, and it has evolved over time. It's incredible. But at that time, I was thinking initially about placing the story here on Earth. But I had one big problem. I have dragons, loads of them, in the story. And I was like, okay, so we already have a problem here on Earth with feeding our population, with feeding the cattle. How on earth are we going to also feed all those dragons? So how do we do that? And I couldn't figure out a solution. And I was like, I can't place it here on Earth. It's just not gonna work. And then I found videos and photos of the Hang Son Doon caves in Vietnam. And that really opened my eyes. And that's the moment I decided, okay, I need my own world, and I'm going to build it. And it's obviously going to be bigger than Earth, because I've got dragons and all kinds of other creatures. And that's also when I thought that megafauna, megaflora might also be an option for what is now Tergaenae, because there are so many creatures in there, and so many plants and trees and you name it, that are very interesting, and which you don't see here. So yeah. Hey Andy, welcome in, welcome in. We were talking about world building and how I am currently working, or how I was currently talking about how I started world building for Tergaenae. Mama Maggie, you say you had to explain why your shadow soul indwelled the living, and so you made them a sort of energy parasite that couldn't survive without a host. Excellent, excellent. I like that. I mean, it's when you find your solution, when you discover how you can make your story happen, That is awesome. And if you can do that with creating your own world or your own part of the world, if you decide to write your story here on Earth, but have it or let it take place here on Earth, but have it magical and other creatures involved and such things. That is awesome, and I really love that. And like I said, for Tergaenae, I couldn't envision that. And that's when I discovered the Hang Son Doom cave in Vietnam. I knew that I had to make my own world, and that's when things really started to make sense for me in a way. And I created the world. I created or discovered the continent of Nejat. Nejat has the White City, which is a mage city, and it has Dragon City, which is, well, for the dragons and dragon companions, and there's so much more to Tergaenae than just that one continent and just those two cities. There's so much going on, and I love it, and I love discovering more and more each day, both for the stories, but also about Tergaenae itself. And that is so awesome, and I love that. And I think I saw a video a few weeks ago. Let me see if I can find that back in our server. I think I posted it. Let me see. Forever World or something. Let's, okay, I can't find it right now. But I watched a video of someone. I'll find the link someday again. And this person was talking about a forever world, creating your forever world. And I can easily see Tergaenae being my forever world because, like I said, I have the Tergaenae Chronicles. That's anywhere between 4 and 8 books. I don't know yet exactly. 4 and 8 are very important numbers in Tergaenae. There are some numbers I would go to because they are very unlucky numbers. So, of course, I won't have that amount of books. I have the main series. I have the Confectioner's Journey that I'm going to write. I have the Ways of the Courtesans that I'm going to write. Go Fly, of course. I have a few other short stories that I have in mind to write. And also something about fruit growers. I don't know exactly yet how and what, but we'll see to that. So yeah, there's so much in there that I really like, and I can easily see myself writing stories writing the stories of Tergaenae really forever. I also have another world, Genema. That's what I talked about earlier, or what I mentioned earlier. That's a world I created originally for a video game I wanted to develop. I developed the whole concept of the video game, also specifically down to quests and scenarios and things like that. But actually building the game, when I reached that point, I also got sick. So yeah, that's not doable for me anymore, unfortunately, unless I recover. But that's why I am focusing on my writing right now, because that's awesome. That's also awesome to do, and it is. Both things have always been, for a very long time, have been passion projects of mine. So yeah, the fact that I can continue with the Tergaenae Chronicles and everything that I can find in Tergaenae, that's awesome. And Mama Maggie, you say you also use time energy emitting iridium containing ice to explain away people living with dinosaurs and megafauna. Awesome. And as the reason the ages of the fossil record is what it is. That sounds amazing. I mean, megafauna is incredible. I mean, I know, for example, that one of the reasons that they could actually exist is because there was lots more oxygen in the air way back when. It's also why the insects were very much larger than we have right now. Like a dragonfly could easily be, I think, a meter or 1.5 meter. So that's huge. I mean, that's, you can't see that's like this or even bigger. So yeah, that's incredible. And back then it was possible. And if you can make that happen in your world, that's great. Mama Maggie say you want to use the Ajanta and Ellora caves in India for a future book. Oh, that sounds exciting. Intricately carved from basalt with no tool marks or any scribe fields. Seriously? Ooh, I gotta look this up. The Ajanta cave in the let's see. Oh wow. This is incredible. Wow. I can see why you want to work with that. And the Ellora caves. Ellora, double L. Ellora cave. Yeah. Oh wow. Incredible. I mean that these are possible. That's just, yeah. And Mama Maggie said the high percentage of oxygen then compared to now is huge. Yeah. I mean, we now have, what is it, 17% or something? And back then, I think it was 23 or 24%. And the difference might not seem much, but apparently it has a huge effect. Just that difference in numbers. It's incredible. And Shannon, you say you just finished hitting 3 hours of writing for the day and also got through the last chapter of your work in progress, although you have two epilogues to get through still. Awesome! Great work! I'm very happy for you. I mean, it's incredible when you reach that point that you are able to do that. And that's just awesome. And Mama Maggie, you say those places are on your bucket list. Totally understandable. Yeah. I mean, for me, Bora Bora is most certainly on my bucket list because it's the inspiration for the Sukumabu Empire. Another one that's on my bucket list is Sint Maarten. Mauritius. It's Mauritius. Mauritius has the underwater waterfalls. It's incredible. It's mind-blowing. And when I saw images of that, photos and videos of that, I knew instantly that was how the abyss looks. That has been created during the Big Divide about 1,000 years ago. It's the abyss between the White City and Greyhaven, and the continents. It's a rift. It's a rift in the continent, in the original continent. And when you look at that, it's so incredible and magical. And I knew just at that moment I knew that was the perfect inspiration for the magical abyss, because it draws people in Tergaenae, and it can be magical, but it can also be very dangerous. And if you look at photos and videos of the underwater waterfalls in Mauritius, it's mind-blowing. And I love it that we have inspiration like that just here on Earth. And that's one of the fun things. You don't need to go looking far away to find inspiration. Like one of the creatures I have in 1 minute. My headphone is just not doing what I wanted to do. My apologies, guys. One of the creatures I have in Tergaenae is inspired by the axolotl. And I mean, the axolotl is, I don't know, 15 to 30 centimeters or something. So it's not a big creature. I blew it up in Tergaenae. As in, I made it a lot bigger. And it's now magical. And it can pull boats. Small boats. I mean, not large warships. But it can pull boats on rivers. And if you look at the axolotl, you would just think it is an alien creature not home to Earth. And let me see if I can find an image and show it to you guys. I mean, it's just so incredible. Just one moment, I found a very nice picture. Now, I hope I can get it into... one moment. Right, where did I download it? Downloads. Oh, no, okay, that's quite logical. Downloads, yeah. There we go. Will you show it? Yes, perfect. This is the axolotl. Can you guys see that? I think you can. I didn't open that one. Yes, you can see it. I mean, if you look at that, that's just an alien creature, right? Or, for me, it's one of the best fantasy creatures. So I decided to use it in Tergaenae. It's a creature that pulls ships, and it's incredible. And of course, I adjusted the creature to make it fit for Tergaenae and to make sure that it's not abused, sort of. But yeah, it's just so incredible, and I love it. And the fact that we have such creatures here on Earth that we can use as inspiration or just use in our books, that's incredible, and I love that. And I mean, why wouldn't we do it? Mama Maggie, you say, hold on, let me... Yes, there we are. You use the Manicouagan Reservoir in the Quebec province in 2 different series. In Relic of Time War, it's the island holding the crown city. In Servants of the Moon, it is the gate of the Moon Temple. Awesome! I mean, that's the fact that you can use it in such different different ways is that's awesome. That's great. And Shannon, you say you've seen the axolotl before. Yeah, it looks so cute, right? And in Tergaenae, like I said, it pulls ships, but it also has some things with children, positive things with children. So yeah, that's fun. And Mama Maggie, you say, well, Crater Lake in Oregon is the Eye of the Moon Temple. The Clearwater Lakes, I don't know how to pronounce that, so I'll keep it at the Clearwater Lakes. In Quebec are the last temple of the 3 moons because of the water reflection on the 2 lakes. That's great. That's great. And that is so fun with world building. You can use so much of what we have here on Earth to make your own world. I mean, you don't have to literally use something. You can use it as inspiration. But you can also just use it literally. I mean, the Hangtondun Cave is my model for Dragon City, and I have enlarged several things, but loads of things in there are straight from the Hangtondun Caves. I just blew them up to make it fit for Dragon City and for Tergaenae, but essentially it's that part. It's a part of the Hangtondun Caves that I used, and that's fun to do. And like the separation between the White City and Greyhaven is partly inspired by a museum in London. At the moment, I don't remember the name of the museum. It will come to me again. But it's a museum that's partially white and partially really grey, and the difference in the way it is built is also a nice contrast. And I used that for the White City and Greyhaven, and it's fun to do that. I mean, why would you go, or how shall I say that? Why would you go out all of the way to make something and have a hard time with that if you can find all the inspiration here on Earth? I mean, you won't find everything, but you can use things that are here on Earth to build your world. The fact that you're building your own world doesn't mean that you can't use things from Earth. So yeah, I love that in world building. And Mama Maggie, you say all our impact craters. Crater Lake is a volcano that was hit by a meteor which caused a tertiary eruption. That theory is contested, but there is impact glass, different from volcanic glass in the crater walls. Interesting. See, that's how things can influence your world building. And I mean, the outer harbor in Silk and Bamboo is inspired by a certain island outside of France, I think, and it is in a crater or part of a crater of an old crater, and that's it's just a perfect harbor, and I love that. And Mama Maggie, you say you would love to visit that cave. You saw a documentary on how deep and extensive they are. Yeah, I mean, it is so incredible. And like the Hangtondun Cave, it has its own weather system, because it is, I don't know, let me look it up for you. I think, if I'm correct, it's about 200 meters high, but I'm not entirely sure. Come on. Oh. Okay. If Vietnam. Sometimes writing is not easy. Let me get that information. And it has a subterranean river, and that's also perfect for Dragon City. They believe it formed between 2 and 5 million years ago. And I mean, it's huge. There was a 60-meter, 200 feet high flowstone coated wall they discovered. And I'm now... Yeah, it's the Hang Son Doong Cave is more than 5 kilometers, 3.1 miles long, 200 meters or 660 feet high, and 150 meters or 490 feet wide. Well, I blew that up for Tergaenae, but yeah, it's incredible. Oh, that's, I have to say, that's the main cave passage. And that is the largest known cave passage in the world. And if I understand this information correctly, the cave runs for about 9 kilometers, 5.6 miles, and is punctuated by 2 large dough lines. Those are essentially sinkholes. Areas where the ceiling of the cave has collapsed. The dough lines allow sunlight to enter section of the cave, resulting in growth of trees and other vegetation. And it has its own weather system. There are clouds inside the cave at certain times. There is rain inside the cave at certain times. Of course, it's not the same as we have here outside, but the fact that that is possible inside a cave is incredible. So yeah, that's all information that I'm using in Tergaenae. And Mama Maggie, you say Romania has some crazy cave systems too. Yeah, I read about that. It's incredible. And you say the way I talk about my underground city makes you think of the Rinkuyu, the underground city in Turkey. Well, Dragon City is not. It's not underground, but it's in that cave. But it's, I mean, here on Earth, it's, what did I say, 200 meters high. It's a little bit higher, but there's also loads of height differences and things like that, and it just, there's so much going on. But there's also that river running through. There are islands in that river, and there are parts of the city are built on those islands. But part of the city is also built against the ceiling and against the wall of the cave, because that's where the dragons also are, partially. And there's a river flowing out that goes through the wells. No, not the wells. The oh, how do I call them? The pools, the wellness pools, and that then goes down into a waterfall that ends in the sea. So it's an incredible cave, and I'd love to. I mean, I know I can't make it happen, but I mean, it's not something we can actually travel to Tergaenae, but it's incredible in my mind, and I love that. And a Hang Son Doong cave is such an important part. Something came into my eye. Itchy. Hang Son Doong caves is such an important part of the inspiration for Tergaenae, because it was the thing that inspired me, the location that inspired me to build my own world, and I love that. And yes, I blew things up. I made them lots larger than they are here on Earth, but I'd make the entire planet larger than Earth. So, I don't quite care. That's how I made things possible. That's how dragons are possible. That's how megafauna is still possible while there are also loads of people living on the planet. And all kinds of things going on. So, yeah, that's, I mean, if you create your own world, you can do what you want. With one caveat, yes, you can do what you want, but you have to make sure that it is logical in your world, that anything that happens can actually happen in your world, and or in your universe, or whatever you decide to create. It has to be logical that it can happen, or it has to be, you have to have a solid reason why something can be broken. And so yeah, that's something to keep in mind when you create your own world. Shannon, you say you would like a place like Dirinkuyu in your world, given some thought to it already. Excellent, excellent. And Andy, you say, oh my god, you don't think you could build a world? The idea that it's all logical would just go out of the window. What I mean with logical is not that it's not so much that it has to adhere to the Earth rules. It has to be logical in your world. It has to, everything you think of has to how should I say that? Everything that happens, that grows, that can be built in your world, has to be able to do that because of the rules that your world operates under. Think of the Hallelujah. Is that the Hallelujah Mountains? Yeah, I think it's called the Hallelujah Mountains, the Flying Mountains in Avatar, not Avatar the Airbender, but Avatar from James Cameron. You have these flying mountains. That's not possible here on Earth. I mean, yeah, you won't see that happening here. But on Pandora, it is possible. And why not? If you can make it happen, then you can make it happen. I mean, it could be there's a pocket of magic or whatever that you can make it happen, or other ways that these things can fly. So yeah. And Andy, you say, yes, you drink coffee that you pour from a phone. Excellent. Keep on doing that. And there's Andy pouring coffee from his phone. Oh, wait. I gotta see. I need to grab that link because here we go. Let's see. Things authors do instead of writing. Yep. I love it. Yeah, those are just fun things. And I mean, it's, if you can make it happen, why not? I mean, in Star Trek, they have food replicators. Back then, it was thought it wasn't possible. How do you do that? Right now we have 3D printers that can actually print food. I mean, I've never tasted any food that came, or at least to my knowledge, any food that came from a 3D printer. But we can do that now. And it's something they thought up decades ago. So why wouldn't it be possible? As long as it works in your world. It doesn't have to work here on Earth. I mean, I have dragons flying around, and it's not just 3 dragons like in Game of Thrones. I have hundreds, if not thousands of dragons. Well, not just if not. I have thousands of dragons. More, 10,000 probably, I don't know. In Tergaenae, I have dragons that can fit in the palm of your hand, but I also have dragons that are, I don't know, the size of a horse or the size of even bigger. So, oh god. One moment, I need to block someone. Ban, thank you very much. Sometimes in Twitch you get things that are just scam, and the weird thing is that I blocked what they posted, but it still came through, so that's weird. I'll figure it out. Anyways, yeah. I mean, in Tergaenae I have thousands, 10,000s of dragons. Small dragons, but also really large dragons. And they can all live. They can eat. There's no shortage of food for them. I mean, it can happen. I have mages. I have all kinds of large animals. Like I have, like the turtles, I have really small turtles, but I also have turtles that are as large as the extinct turtles. Also megafauna turtle. I lost the name. I have that happening in Tergaenae, and I know I can have that in Tergaenae because of the way Tergaenae is built. I mean, I don't see that happening here on Earth. And again, I mean, we still have the whales, and we still have very large creatures, but not in abundance. In your own world, you can make it the way you want. You can discover everything. You can see how things are possible. And that's what's important. That's the fun part. That's one of the fun parts, one of the many fun parts of world building. You can find ways, you can discover ways to make it happen in your world. You can discover ways how it is made happen in your world. And that's what's important. And it can make such a difference in your stories. And I think the more we use our imagination, the more we let our minds discover things, the more wondrous things we find that are part of our worlds, and that's just amazing, and I love that. And the fact that we as authors can do that, I mean, you can start small, and it just you don't need to have that whole like I like to call it the umbrella overview of your world. You don't need to start there. You can start small with your own with one character. What does she or he see in her room, in her house, on the streets, things like that. And what does that mean? And what does that what does that have for an influence on your character, on side characters, on the people she meets on the street, on the political system, on creatures, and anything really. And that's the beauty of world building. You don't have to start top down. You don't have to start with all the large things. You can start with your character and start with a few small things and build that out. And I mean, I do both. I like when I didn't know where on earth I could place the dragons, I decided to create a complete new world. At the same time, at some point, I discovered that I didn't understand why certain characters hadn't met for years, for a decade. I didn't understand that. While they lived in the same city. And I was like, why is that? So I dove into it from the point of view of one certain character. And I was like, why haven't you met these other two characters? Why is that? And then I looked at my old hometown, and then I understood that my old hometown has about 200,000 inhabitants, I think. And then suddenly I knew. I mean, even in such a big town, I should say, in such a big town, even now, while we can travel with our cars and with public transport, we don't get to see, we don't see people every day. We might see people every few months or once a year. And that's when it hit me. That's when I looked at it from the point of view of that one character, and I started to think from her point of view and what's around her, and also what's in our house, but also what's outside the house, what's in the district she lives in, what can she find there, and are these things that the other characters would need, and why they would travel there, or would those things be available where they live as well. And that's when I discovered how big that city actually is, and why they hadn't met for a decade or so. And that's all part of world building. And that's the moment that you start with one character, just from the point of view of that one character, instead of the whole big picture of the planet and how is the planet, what continents does the planet have, etc. No, it's just what can that one character see and experience, and who can she meet. So there are multiple ways of story of world building, and you don't need to start with a whole planet. Just start with what your character experience and what she can see, and go from there. And that's fun. It's fun to do, and it's fun to how shall I say that? You discover more and more. And when you keep on world building and writing, for me it really works together. Like I said, with that character, of which I didn't understand why she had met those two other characters, I was in the middle of my writing process. And that's when I got back to world building again, because I didn't understand it. I've also had moments where I was world building and that suddenly explained something for me for the story. So it works both ways. And that's that's the fun part of it. with all that talk about world building, let's also just work in our worlds and work in our stories, and go write or research or anything else you'd like to do for 1 hour, 60 minutes. So let me start that up. Yeah, there we go. And I wish you all a lot of fun. And I will see you. Oh, hold it. Not yet. I forgot something. Okay, this should work. 1 hour. 1 hour, 60 minutes. I will see you guys on the other side if I can find a way to start the timer. Yes, there we go. I wish you all a lot of fun, and I'll see you on the other side in 60 minutes. well, that was the end of our 60-minute sprint. Something seems to have gone wrong with the countdown. I don't know exactly what, but I'll fix that. Let's run. Let me go back here. Yes, there we are. Let me check in with the chat. I saw several people going and coming in. Andy, thank you for being here. And you said wait for your next kid in 2 weeks' time. You're going to disappear. I wonder. And Mama Maggie said, in China there was a scandal about 3D printed shrimp and crab meat from paste. Okay. Well, that refers back to our talk earlier about how we had in Star Trek several decades ago already fabricated food, and now we have 3D printers that can actually print food. So some things might not be possible yet, or were back in the days not possible yet here on Earth. But in your own world, you can just make it happen. And, well, here on Earth, they eventually also made it happen. Shannon said, oh, and you? Mama Maggie, cell phones and medical scanners, MRIs were also part of Roddenberry's science fiction. It's a future fact. Exactly, yeah, and it's bizarre. Andy, that's so unethical. Oh, I think about the scandal with the 3D printed shrimp and crab meat from paste, yeah. Mama Maggie, you said a corrupted time energy emitting ice age allowed for you to have creatures separated by millions of years to exist together, and also spawned in an interesting discussion about evolution and cosmic drift. Wow. Yeah, those things can happen if you find a way to make it work in your own world or to make it work here on Earth. That can give you so many possibilities for your storyline, for things that happen between characters. That's just awesome. And Mama Maggie also said, the stars move over time, so the constellations change. But when the geologic record says millions of years have passed, while the astronomical record has barely changed, means something very bad happened. We'll see. Yeah, we'll have to see. Andy, you had to go. You had to hop off. Thank you for the thank me for the stream. Yeah, you're welcome. And I hope to see you the next time again. And also a good one, or 2 or 3 for Mama Maggie and Shannon. Kindar, thank you so much for raiding. It's awesome to see you. I hope to see you tomorrow. Thursday. My apologies. Thursday again. Roar books, yeah. It's a raid and run for you. Have a good stream and writing. Thank you so much. It was wonderful. So guys, if you don't know Kindar or the Tiger Rights, check him out. He's on Twitch and on YouTube. You should see the links in the in the chat right now. So welcome in everyone from Kindar's Raid. I love having you here, and I hope you like tropical birds. And Spicy Senpai, you said your cat does. You keep having to shoo him from the desk. How is your cat doing right now that the tropical bird stopped singing? Shannon, you said finishing up putting together some pages for your critique partner. That's awesome. It's great when you can do that. I have my story Go Fly. I want to finish that first before I'm sending it out. And I'm sending it to a few critique partners who have already given me excellent feedback on the first chapter of the main series. So I hope they like this little prequel to it. And thank you, Spicy Senpai, for following me. Thank you so much. I love it. Thank you. And Mama Maggie, you're going to make lunch for the whole family. I wish you a good lunch. It's a bon appetit. Yeah, basically. And Spicy Senpai, you say the cat finally stopped jumping up and batting the screen. Oh, that's great. That's great. Cats can be so fun or when you watch their behavior. A friend of mine, several friends of mine have cats, but with one of these friends, I regularly do cat sitting, as I call it, when he has to go elsewhere for his job, and it's so fun just to watch her study the outside world. She's an indoor cat, but she loves to lay in front of the window and sit by the door and just watch everything that happens outside, and then she will paw the window or just jump up to the window when she sees something's happening. It's always fun to see. On Spicy Senpai, you say it would have been funnier if it wasn't a touchscreen. No, oh, yeah, that's okay. I can see why that's a real issue. My old laptop had a touchscreen as well, and it was really sensitive. So I can imagine you'd rather not have your cat's paw at the screen. So yeah, totally understandable. So it's good that your cat stopped doing that now. I mean, cats can be fun, but there are times when it's just not handy, shall we say. So yeah, but they're also so sweet and cuddly, and I mean, she's the cat of a friend of mine. She's not a cat who will go sit on your lap. Well, at least not with me. She will do that with her human, but not with me. But she will go around my legs and headbutt my legs for attention, and I mean she's just so sweet, and it's just I always like it when I'm there. And I mean, cats can, just like dogs. I also love dogs, and they can really feel when you are going through something or when you're feeling sick or something, and that's incredible. It's a bit different with birds in my experience. I've had lovebirds, and maybe it's because we had a couple. Because back at the time my ex and I, we both worked full time, so we thought it wasn't fair to have a lovebird, which is a bird that enjoys company, to have a lovebird, a single lovebird. So we decided to have a couple, and I think that it also, how shall I say that? They don't connect with you as much in the same way as a single bird would do. But they were still fun to have, and they still came for attention, and so yeah, that was great. And Spicy Senpai, you say they really do. You have 3 cats, and 2 of them always have to be in your office when you're working. That's so sweet of them. Yeah, I mean, it's just incredible, and I love that they do that, and both cats and dogs. And I mean, it's not just when you're working, but also when you're sick, for example, they will feel it as well. And I think going back to our earlier how shall I say that, to our earlier talks about world building. Yes, and I'm still getting there. I think it's a good thing to also have pets in your story and in your world building, to to think about that. Not only that pets are there, but also what they can mean for your character, for the people around your character, for the society as a whole. I mean, are cats and dogs an important part, or are they hardly seen? Are they rare? Do they hunt the mice? For the bakers, for example, or for the farmers. Those are all things to think about, and it makes your story come alive. Spicy Senpai, you say in your new series you have a dog character who gets the ability to talk. Interesting, interesting. And you've never written an animal character, so that has been fun. I can imagine that. Yeah, I mean, you'd have to dive really into what a dog can see and can experience that might be quite different from how we humans experience things and feel things and see things. So I can imagine it has not been the easiest thing to write. You write him like Doug from the movie Up. You know, I've never seen that movie. I still have it on my to-be-watched list, but I still have to see it. I still have to watch it. But I mean, animals are just great to include. I mean, look at me. I'm writing about dragons and flutter nymphs and all other kinds of creatures in Tergaenae. So yeah, that's it's having animals in your story. I feel is important one way or another. I mean, there's the adagio of show the villain kicking a dog or killing a puppy, but that's not all. Yes, it shows how characters can be, but it also shows so much more about society. And Spicy Senpai, you say, "Oh my god, I just gave you an idea." Oh, well, you're welcome. I hope it works out great for you. Happy to give you the idea. You're going to have one of the villains kick the dog. Yeah. I'm interested in seeing how the dog is going to respond. That would be very fun, I think. I mean, is he going to instantly bite? Or is he going to have a conversation? It will be fun to see. Tell us more about it when you get to it. It will. It's so fun. It's so interesting. I mean, if I look at the if I look at the dragons in Tergaenae, the dragons are. I always get those terms mixed up. Sapient beings. They can think and they can feel and they can talk with humans or any other species for that matter. So yeah, that I think it's sapient. So so it's fun and it's interesting, and I mean they have their own way of thinking. They have their own expressions. For example, in Go Fly, Nejat's companion warns him to keep his claws at the ready. Of course, Nejat doesn't have claws, but his dragon companion does. And so they have that expression to warn Nejat, in this case, for danger. And those are things, I mean, a human wouldn't say that. But the dragon, yes, he would say that. I also have other kinds of species for characters, not only humans, but I also have a species that's, for example, inspired by meerkats. Just because I love meerkats. So yeah, they're in Tergaenae. So yeah, that's fun. Spicy Senpai, you say he's a black lab, the pet of the main characters. So you try to write characteristics of Labradors. I can imagine that, yeah. Mama Maggie, you say you have an enchanted cat named a Fish Lover. Ooh. In A Relic of Time War. He is a character, but sadly animals enchanted with longevity can't reproduce and must be healed with magic because their cells are slowed. Ooh. That can spoil. That can spell trouble. I mean, if he gets wounded, then somebody really has to go to him quickly, I can imagine, because otherwise things can go very wrong. But also things like a broken bone or a bruising takes loads more time to heal, I imagine. And Mama Maggie, you say you also have a youngest sister-daughter character that can communicate with animals through the use of shepherding aura. Interesting. That's good. That's nice. And Shannon, you say you wanted to have a fish named Cat in your recent publication, but it just didn't fit in the story. I like that. Well, actually, I want to say there are catfish, but I think that's something different. That is that just a term for something that's really not good? Yeah, that's no. There is actually a catfish. Okay, catfish are a diverse group of ray-finned fish. Catfish are named for their prominent barbels, which resembles a cat's whiskers. Though not all catfish have prominent barbels. Okay, well, that's... Okay, we know that now. And Shannon, you say, yeah, you do have a cat in the third book, though, your current work in progress, but she's not quite a cat. Ooh, tell us more. Tell us more. And Shannon, you say her name is Marigold. That's an interesting name. Inspired by Tolkien, perhaps? And Mama Maggie, you say there's a huge debate about longevity and durability enchantments making more waste than they are worth because to reverse them takes 10 times the magic than to make them. Oh, that's I can see the conundrum there. Yeah, I can see why that's a big debate, but at the same time, do people feel the same about similar things that are for people and not for creatures? I mean, we do see things differently oftentimes. So I wonder how that will work. Mama Maggie says Shannon has some amazing creatures. Yeah, she does. I still have to fully read your latest book, Shannon. I got it in the Kickstarter. I still have to read it. I haven't set it down to properly read a few books. I still need to do that. Still want to do that. Shannon says, thanks, Mama Maggie. And the cat follows your female main character, Nira, who grows a fire marigold. Okay, so you have a cat that is called Marigold, and the cat follows your MC Nira, who grows fire marigolds. So that's the plant, the flower marigolds. Do I understand that correctly? And you say Nira forgot to ask the firebird what the cat's name was because the cat belongs to him. So she names her marigold for her flowers. Ah, interesting. That's nice. And Mama Maggie, you say when something becomes outdated, then having durability on them becomes a problem. Ah, okay. So, but a cat... How does the cat become outdated? Does that mean that how shall I say that? That he's old, and the people don't regard him worthy of having that durability? Or is it the durability item, the longevity item, that becomes outdated? I shouldn't say, but then Zane eats Marigold later. That's a whole story in itself. I can imagine that. Yeah. And Mama Maggie asks, "What, Zane? Why would he do that?" Oh, okay. Marigold told him to do it for a very specific reason. Uh-huh. What? Okay. I'm so confused right now. But Nira had the same reaction, Mama Maggie, when Zane told her he ate the cat. So Zane ate the cat because the cat told him to eat him, or did the cat mean that Zane had to eat the marigold flowers? And that's a whole different thing. Incredible. Marigold is part of the Firebird, who is a god. So Zane ate part of a god? Well, that's a whole different storyline there. Okay. Incredible, yeah. You've done an amazing job with that. I like that. I mean, it's so fun when you can set readers on one path, or they think they've been set on one path, and then you just change things, and and things really go different for the readers. And suddenly you say, "Yeah, you got it, Ilse." Okay. Thank you. Mama Maggie, you say longevity is for living things, but when they die, the corpse rapidly ages and decays, which is the enchantment breaking, which is traumatizing to witness. Okay, I can imagine that. But is dying then becoming outdated? Do I understand that correctly? Okay, I'm still trying to grasp that concept. Yeah. Yeah, Shannon, it indeed would be traumatizing. Yeah, I mean, you sometimes see in series that I think it's mostly in Asian series where people find their end and they will disperse into the air. Their particles, so to speak. Yeah, that's. I mean, that happens really quick. And I can imagine that with Mama Maggie's description, that a similar thing might happen, and yeah, that would be traumatizing. Yeah, I can imagine that. Mama Maggie say durability cast on tools and clothes and buildings and ships is nice because they last, but styles and technology changes, and then to dispose of or recycle something, the enchantment must be removed. Ah, that way. Okay. Okay, now I understand. Yeah, that's an issue indeed. So that's why people are arguing about the cost versus the effect of that enchantment. Okay. And the longevity enchantment is almost like necromancy because it keeps cells from aging, but eventually time catches up and death happens. Yeah, I understand. Yeah, because it's tough. Yeah. And I mean, you might want to The question is, of course, why would you want someone to have that longevity enchantment? I mean, I know here on Earth we all want to live as long as possible. Of course, there are discussions about whether we should keep giving people medicine while they are basically, let me just say, while it might be more humane to just let them find their end, and that is usually it's usually more done for the people they leave behind than for the person themselves. So there are quite some discussions about that. Mama Maggie, you say your cat will live 200 years, but then one day it will just turn to dust. But do you live 200 years or longer? What's the lifespan of your characters who have that cat? Because if you're talking about a cat who can live 200 years with that longevity charm or enchantment, does that also mean that people characters will have a similar enchantment and thus would reach the similar end? Or okay, I see. The Ethereans live for up to 12,000 years. So having pets that only live 1 or 2 decades is a huge burden of grief. I understand, yes. It is forbidden to use the enchantment on humans or Ethereans. Interesting. It's forbidden, you say, but does that also mean that it's never been done? Or never being done? Because we all know when something's forbidden, it's the greatest temptation. Interesting. 12,000 years, oh my god. I mean, that would give you loads of time to write books, to just keep on writing. That would be awesome. I mean, you would experience so much that you can keep on using in books, and yeah, it would also be weird, I think. I mean, do they I want to say interracial. Well, I don't think that's the right term for that. But do the Ethereans and the humans also mix? Do they marry each other? Do they have relationships with each other? Or are they really separated? Because humans have a shorter lifespan, normally have a shorter lifespan. So how long do humans live, for example, in your world? I mean, a human who has an enchanted cat might die before the cat dies. There might be a whole issue there as well. Living 12,000 years, what would you do with that? You would see whole civilizations come and go. I mean, let's see. We're now in the 2000s. 2026 now. So let's say 3,000 years ago. I mean, that's before. I mean, we go back to the Roman Empire, to the Egyptian empires. Early, I don't know, Ottoman is later. Early Asian empires, things like that. Whole different civilizations, whole different way of living. So what if you look into the future? I mean, it could be interesting, to be honest. Well, 12,000 years might be a lot, but at the same time, you would regard time differently, I imagine. And Mama Maggie, you say several characters say semi-immortality sucks. I can imagine, yeah. And half human, half Etherean children can live up to 1,200 years. Okay. There was a lot of intermarriage originally, but then the Aetherians realized it was cruelty to their children for them to outlive their more human grandchildren. Yeah, I can imagine that. Yeah. I mean, I mean, here on Earth, we say it's cruel to outlive your children. So yeah, I can imagine that. Yeah. Maggie also say one character says they lost more friends to old age than to war. Incredible. That also poses the question, for me at least, how many wars have they witnessed? And how, on what side were they, or rather, did they take any side? And how did they deal with, I don't know, potentially having to choose between their Aetherian backgrounds and potentially the humans. I mean, time is, if you live that long, time becomes a whole different concept. I mean, where we may grow old as in, I don't know, maybe 100 years. Some people may grow to 120 years, or 110, I mean, but that's mostly it. But if you live 12,000 years, that's civilizations coming and going. That's, I mean, that's not even a few generations. That's thousands of generations that you can see coming and going, developments, etc., etc. Yeah. Mama Maggie say, High Lord Karstian watched his son, 1283 years old, and all his grandchildren from his son's 5 marriages grow old and die while he barely aged. I can imagine that's really hard, and yeah, I wouldn't like that either. I mean, I can see why someone would be tempted to use that longevity enchantment and keep searching for new, or keep buying or making new longevity enchantments to make sure that people can live even longer. You say with Aetherian healing tech, humans were living up to 140, which is still a fraction of an Aetherian lifespan. Yeah, I mean, that's incredible. I mean, if I were given the chance, would I take it? I don't know. Maybe I would. I mean, I imagine that if I were given the chance to live thousands of years, I mean, in the beginning, I mean, it's different with the Aetherians, I assume. But in the beginning, I can imagine you will go things. You're not in a hurry anymore, so you will go places and take your time to view it all and to experience it all. I can imagine I would take all my time. Well, not all my time. I would prioritize writing my books, for example, and visiting places that have inspired my books. But I can also imagine I would, I don't know, at some point in time, travel to the stars. I mean, that would be awesome. But at one point, or rather, when do you reach that point in time or in your life when you say, well, I've seen it all, I've done it all, now what's left for me? I mean, how... As humans reaching, I don't know, 100 years, 110, there are often still things we haven't done. We might not regret it, but there are always things we haven't done, places we haven't visited, etc., etc. But at some point, when you're able to live for thousands of years, do you reach a point when you've simply seen it all, been everywhere, done it all, and then what do you do? Mama making you say Prince Damien used it on his human butler, but after 250 years the man just collapsed and his body aged to dust one evening, so he never did it again. I can imagine that, yeah. You took those scenes out and just made it forbidden because of the ethical questions it raised in a side plot. I understand that, yeah. I mean, there's just how do you deal with it? How do you deal with the consequences? And not only for yourself, but also for the family of this human butler, for example. Especially, I mean, has this human butler chosen it? Or was he forced to do it? Or I mean, things like that. It's not easy. It's not easy. These are things that how should I say that? There are ethical points, like you say, and it also gives the opportunity for villains. I mean, what will they do? What can they do? How will they deal with certain things? Can they force those kinds of enchantments on certain people? And what will the effects be? How will they deal with the after effects? It's weird. It can be weird, let me put it that way. I mean, you have to, if you choose it yourself, you have to be aware that at some point you will lose all your loved ones. You will have lost all your loved ones due to old age, or hopefully due to old age. And sure, you will get new friends. You might get a new partner, but your family that you were born into, that will be gone, or you will have the I don't know, the 10th generation to deal with, compared to your own parents. So that's quite different. Are you ready to do that? Are you ready to face that? And how do you do that? How do you still get respect? How do you make sure that you're not ridiculed? Things like that. Mama Maggie, you said you didn't feel like writing that whole thing, that didn't apply to the main story arc. I can imagine that, yeah. And you compressed it down to a few chapters of War of Prophecies, exploring Damien's loneliness or a semi-immortal surrounded by humans, and wrote him as basically Dr. Frankenstein trying to figure out immortality so he could keep the woman he loves from dying while he barely ages. That's a very tough situation. I mean, yeah, that's of course also part of life. You fall in love, and it doesn't always mean that the one you fall in love with is going to be in your life forever. I think that is one of the reasons why in stories about vampires, for example, the loved ones are usually made a vampire, because that way they can stay in the life of the vampire forever. I say often because you see it, for example, in Twilight. but an author like Deborah Harkness from Discovery of Witches takes a different approach. Her main character is indeed a vampire, her main male lead, but her main female lead is a witch, and their lifetimes are, of course, lifespans are, of course, very different. And he has a certain stance on that, including that he won't make her a vampire. So it's really a question also of how do you deal with loss? Are you prepared to deal with loss as the immortal or semi-immortal? Are you willing to, in a way, sacrifice the freedom? Because it's also partially a freedom that you can die, after 100 years. If you have had a miserable life, you don't want to live for thousands of years. So would you be willing as a vampire to end or to continue someone's life because you think it's for the best, while this other person has had a miserable life, for example? I'm not saying that your character has that, but it raises questions just in general for stories with the immortals. It raises questions. Are you willing to make certain choices? Are you willing to make someone an immortal or semi-immortal while they don't have a concept of how to deal with that enormous long lifespan? Those are all things to think about. And I mean, the chance that we get that question, we here on Earth, are slim to none, I think. At least not in the foreseeable future. But like I said, were I given the choice, I might say yes. I don't know. It all depends on how my life would be at that moment. When I get the chance, when I get that question, I have no idea. I honestly don't know. But it is a question that every character in such a story may find themselves posed and may find themselves having to answer that. So yeah, and I can understand that for Damien it would be a very tough thing to deal with. How do you keep the woman you love from dying? And how do you deal with the fact that at some point she will die, because at some point it just stops. Yeah. Shannon, you say sorry you had to leave out quick for the son's bus stop. You just got back. Welcome back. How's your son doing in the meantime? I hope he's doing fine. Mama Maggie, you say your main female character was hidden as a human, then revealed as an Aetherian later, and she always says she wishes she had never been changed because her human stepfamily all dies. I can imagine that, yeah. And Shannon, you say you had remembered almost too late that she said she'd be earlier today. Glad you made it, Shannon. Yeah, I mean, it's going back to your main character, Mama Maggie. It's interesting, right? But at some point, so if I understand what you're saying, she has been changed. So at some point, probably maybe as a child already. Because she was hiding as a human, and revealed to be an Aetherian later, but apparently it was a change. So something changed in her life. Yeah. And Mom Maggie say Daisy hates being semi-immortal. I can imagine that. I mean, it's just how you deal with it and what your expectations and hopes, especially in life, are. I mean, for myself, if I could keep writing my books and be in the health that I have right now, sure, I'd love to be healthier. But at least have the health that I have right now. If possible, better, but at least the health I have right now and not get worse. Keep on writing my books. At some point, maybe literally visit the stars, visit other planets, in a time span that you can also go back and not go back to see your loved ones, and not like a mission to Mars right now is a one-way ticket and 3 generations later they can come back, something like that, you know. So yeah, I might be interested. I might be tempted to see other worlds and to be inspired by other worlds. I mean, there are planets that are livable for us. It would be amazing. I think I can imagine. Let me put it that way. To see those worlds, to see other creatures, to see other plants. Yeah, I can imagine it would be very tempting for me to say yes in such a situation. But like I said, it also depends on other factors, like how's my family doing? Can I get easily back to my family when something happens? You know, I don't know. I don't know. Shani, you say your son is good. He got his report card today, almost all A's with 1 B in math, but he's in 8th grade math, a year above him. Awesome! Congratulations! He's doing really well. And Mama Maggie says Shannon's Dragon Kings have the same problem of outliving their brides because of a curse. Yeah, I mean it's weird. People want to live long, but at the same time, it depends. Not it depends. At the same time, they might not realize what it really means to live that long. I mean, like I said, if I can live really long with my health as it is currently, and at least not worse, and if I can, I don't know. I mean, seeing my family go, that's kind of natural, you know. Your parents, that's pretty natural. But I think it would be easier for me if I had been able to properly say goodbye to them, and then move on. I have no idea where, but move on. But if I could live with my current health or better and keep on writing, visit other planets, I don't know, that could be something. But would I be able to say goodbye to my family knowing that I would live for a long, long time and never see them again? I think right now, I don't know. That's something I could only answer in that moment. It's like the question, could you do the worst thing possible? If the if certain events would happen. Like right now you might say, oh hell no, never. But when push comes to shove, you might do exactly that, of which you now say, oh hell no, never, because you have no other option anymore. So it all depends on how you are at that moment, what your circumstances are, and not only for you, but also the circumstances of your family, your friends. I mean, would you want to live forever or thousands of years in a war-ridden country, for example? At least I would flee. I mean, if I were to have to live thousands of years in a war-ridden country, I would go elsewhere. I mean, I would say, bye-bye, this is not it for me, I'll be gone. I'll go anywhere else. But at the same time, you would leave your family behind, if you still have family left that you leave behind. I mean, here in the Netherlands, we have asylum seekers, refugees, I should say. Some people come here who have left their country and they had nothing left there. So for them, it was, at least I get to safety and I can build a life there. Other people have left family behind, and that's not an easy thing to do. So there are lots of things to think about. Mama Maggie, you say you need to get the synthetic gravity problem fixed before we send out generational ships. Yeah. And Shannon, you say you think it's interesting how immortality can intersect with sanity. Yeah, that's a real thing. I mean, you can get real lonely if you live for thousands of years and you don't have a support group. Some people will thrive while being alone. I mean, I'm an introvert, or is that now omnivert? I mean, between introvert and extrovert, something like that. So I can be alone for a very long time before I really need human contact, shall we say. And that also differs. One time I really need some people around me every day. Other times I can go days without people around me or without having contact with people. So it all depends on how you feel, on how your mental state is, in what goes around you. Yeah, so indeed, sanity may become an issue with immortality. And Mama Maggie, you say, imagine living through the wars of Roman times up to modern times. That would be insane. Well, it's something that I was just thinking about. I mean, you would have gone through the Roman Empire. You've seen that grow. And then you've seen it fall apart. You've seen civilizations come and go. I mean, you've been in contact with the Egyptians, with pharaohs, and now you have to deal with kings and presidents and dictators. I don't know, all kinds of people. But you also have to deal with technological progress. You come from an age where you could die from for us right now, a simple thing like a broken leg, but also a time where you didn't have guns, where you didn't have nuclear weapons, a time where you didn't have electricity, a time where society was completely different. where food was different. I won't say that it was bad, because I think we've lost lots of food that was very good back then. So it's different from how it was back then. It's different now. How do you deal with that? I mean, if I look at myself, I have seen computers being introduced in the household. I have seen cell phones coming into our lives. I mean, many of us come from a time where we were playing outside. We didn't have computers. We didn't have cell phones. Reading a book was very normal. Going outside to play ball or for a bike or for a bike ride or whatever, that was normal. But it was also normal to have people around you in your neighborhood who would keep an eye on you. They say it takes a village to raise a kid, and that comes from those times. Back in the day in my neighborhood, the people on the other side of the street might know where I have been. Now, none of us know. Where I might have been as a teenager. Have I gone to school? Have I gone to the shop to get the groceries or whatever that I needed to get? Have I been to my friends or have I been elsewhere? Things like that. That was something that used to be quite normal back in the days, while now we're all on cell phones, and some people don't even know their neighbors. Yeah, okay, they live next to them, but that's basically all they know. People may lie dead in their apartment for weeks or months until they are discovered. So it's such a different era right now. And if you come from a Roman Empire era, from a Roman Empire time, society, etc., that is such a huge difference. And you've seen wars. You've seen plenty of wars. You've seen things coming and going. Incredible. Incredible. Mama Maggie say Karstian sees himself as a caretaker of humans, while Damien sees himself as a conqueror and demigod of humans. That's quite a different way of thinking. And Mama Maggie, you say you remember when cell phones were actually radio phones that came with a box? I remember, yeah, that came with a box the size of a suitcase for batteries. Yeah. And car phones were actually installed into cars. Exactly. Incredible. And the punch card for the computers, and it's so different right now. And having a computer, as a teenager, we had computers at school and we worked there. And I was one of the lucky kids whose parents got a computer through their work, and through special plans. So we got a computer and we could work on that. But otherwise, it was just a typewriter. We just had to deliver our works typed out or written out. That's so different. Sending a letter to pen pals, that's something that the kids nowadays don't know. They're like, a postage stamp? What is that? What are you talking about? And that's so weird. It's just incredible. And we've seen that happening. Imagine you just have to look at the history books to see what can happen, or what has happened, what has transpired the past 2,000, 3,000 years. You would have gone through so many changes. Would you be able to keep up with it all? If I look at my parents, my mother is handier with a computer than my father is. My ex-mother-in-law is absolutely not handy with a computer. But they are several decades older than I am. And I've seen the damn things being introduced. So that's such a difference. And nowadays we are in part, in a bad way, depending on computers, depending on the internet, depending on those cell phones. And I mean, it's wonderful that we can look up all kinds of information, and that I can talk to you guys right now. You're in the USA, I'm here in the Netherlands, and we can talk, and we can have a conversation. And that's awesome, don't get me wrong. But at the same time, we're also really dependent. Back in the day when I worked at the county, we had our servers broken down or something, and the first day, you can't access your email and you can't access your files, and the first day, no problem, you can work and you'll remember, and no problem, it all goes. The second day, you start to have problems, and you start to clean up your files, your paper files, and things like that. The third day, it really becomes an issue. That was, let me think, that was about 20 years ago. We were already depending on the computers and on servers back then. And already back then, it became a problem on the third day that servers were broken down. Right now, if servers break down, we have a very big problem. So, yeah, how do you deal with that? How do you go through all that and keep sane, stay sane? How do you learn all that new stuff, not forgetting your experiences from the past? So, yeah. Mama Maggie, you say, now we have phones that fit in the palm and have 1,000 times more power than the computer that went to the moon. Exactly. And you bought an Apple computer through a program with your high school, and it was so much better than your Commodore computer. Yeah. And you're that old. I think I can shake your hand on that. Oh yeah, sending airmail via airmail, these slivers of papers, and oh yeah, I remember that, yeah. Shannon, you say Mama Maggie has a live stream on the next hour, about 40 minutes. You'll be going into a long meeting then, but here's her link. Oh, perfect. Thank you for sharing. Thank you. Here it is almost 10:30, so I'll be going to sleep. 10:30 p.m. I mean. And Mama Maggie, you say you worked computerizing a doctor's office files in 1998. That was a nightmare. I can imagine. Yeah, that's not an easy thing. Oh my god, I mean, it's just having to go through all that written stuff and put it all in the computer and make sure that everything is filed correctly and that all the information is correctly transcribed into the digital file. I can imagine the nightmare, yeah. And Mama Maggie says thanks to Shannon. Shannon, your meeting is for the AWC, trying to figure out what it looks like for a one-day conference. The authors, remind me, AWC authors, the W conference. I'm lost at the W. Mama Maggie says, Hilsa, that we cannot be left alone to talk world building. We are so chatty because we love it so much. Exactly. Yeah. We love it way too much. Oh my god. Oh. I think that if we would do a joint live stream with any theme, then we wouldn't get to the theme. We would just keep talking about world building. We could have world building as a theme. As a theme. Ocean, the authortube writing conference. Ah, right. That's it. Yeah. It's been a 3-day conference for 4 years, but it's a lot of work and stressful. I can imagine that. I mean, it's you have to find authortubers who will take part in it, and who will have themes, who will, I don't know, do sprints, but also do workshops and all kinds of things. Yeah, it's a lot of work. I can imagine that. Yeah, and it's indeed great for the community. And Mama Maggie says, Sharon, just let us know what the mods need to do. Excellent. I mean, it's the fact that you guys do that is so important, and maybe it's an idea, just throwing it out there. Instead of having one authortube writing conference of 3 days, maybe do multiple of 1 days throughout the year. I don't know if that would make it easier to organize it all. I have no idea. But maybe it's easier to organize a 1-day event multiple times a year than doing the 3-day for one time. I don't know. Shannon, for sure, Mama Maggie. Rita is in charge of you guys. I'm sure there will be more coming later in the year. And the conference is on November 7th. People, put it in your calendars. I'm gonna put it in my calendar as we speak. If it will open up. Oh, my Chrome was updated. Thank you very much. Oh, Shannon, you say multiple 1 days throughout the year would be a lot of work, more than a 3-day conference. Okay, understandable. And Mama Maggie, you say you're glad it's not over the summer this year because the youngest due date window falls during the usual time. And Shannon, you say updating the website for each one, separate rounds of hundreds of emails for each event. Okay, I can see it. Yeah, that would be just way too much. Yeah, that's not doable. No. Collecting data on 3 separate events. Yeah, I can see where you're going. Yeah, and then it would be indeed loads more to do. So what are you thinking about right now? You're condensing it into 1 day. So are you going on a theme, or a specific theme, or are you going for workshops, or only writing sprints, or what are you thinking about? If you can already share that information, I mean. Jenny, you say you have 1 day trying to figure out how long that day and how many special guest speakers versus guest speaker spots, what to keep and what not to keep. Yeah, that's a tough choice. I can imagine that. Because I can imagine that there are certain things that you want to keep and that you want to keep going. Yeah. Like you won't have a happy hour on that day. Yeah. Maybe you can do that as a pre-party or after party, the day before or the day after. I have no idea. I mean, it's those are really things that I can imagine it's not always easy to make a choice between things that you want to keep and that you feel that are not necessary anymore. And Shannon, you say Devin and Rita are all for keeping the first page critique panel. And Mama Maggie, you say you're going to hop off and take the dogs outside to play before your stream. I wish you a lovely stream. Maybe I will catch it in a VOD because I really need to go to bed. And Mama Maggie, you say you love the first page critique panel. Shannon, you're going to pitch the happy hour for the day before, but you think in your last meeting there were other ideas for the day before. And the first page critique panel takes up so much time. Yeah. And Shannon, you say today is the day to lock down what it will be. And you think it takes a lot of time too, Mama Maggie. Yeah, I can imagine that, because you need to read all that before it happens, and giving each the time that they deserve. Yeah. Mama Maggie, be blessed to see you later. The same to you. Thank you so much for joining and for all our talks about world building. I loved it. We should do that again sometime. Shannon, you say, but you're thinking about how it's 90 minutes and the leftover 30 minutes in the next hour can be a break. Yeah, that could be interesting. So 90 minutes and then 30 minutes just have a break and do nothing special, and then after that a new thing like a writing sprint or a new workshop or something like that. Could be. It's also tempting to go on about certain first pages because, or I imagine, let me put it that way. I imagine it can be tempting because you have that because you would have that 30 minutes free. So there's nobody who is next in line to go after you. So that I can imagine that can also be a risk. But if it takes the pressure off, it can also be very helpful. But yeah, it's a tough choice for you guys. I hope that you can work it out and make a great event again. I'm looking forward. I've put it in my calendar so that I will be so that I know that it happens. And I assume that we will get loads of news beforehand in the coming months, and especially getting closer to the event. Shannon, you say you're good with being time conscious. That's perfect. That's perfect. Well, I'm not that good at being time conscious. It's already way past my bedtime. I should really go to sleep. I want to thank you also for joining, and all the others who are with us and who joined us today. I loved you all. I loved seeing you all. And yeah. Then you say, do you think 12 hours would be too long of a day with 2 30-minute breaks? Well, here's the thing. You have an American audience, but also a European audience. And the 12 hours, in those 12 hours, you might be able to cover both audience, to reach both audiences. It all depends, of course, on at what time you begin and what time you end. For example, there is a time difference of roughly 6 hours between Central Europe, so Central European time, and Eastern time. There's a difference of 6 hours. And there's a difference of 9 hours with Western time. I don't know what that time zone is called, but like California, LA, that time zone. So that 6 to 9 hours time difference between the USA and Europe, if you catch that in those 12 hours, then you can reach both audiences. It depends on who you are trying to reach. If you want to reach both audiences, then I would think 12 hours would not be too long, because it would essentially give you the option to reach both audiences. If you would focus on only the American audience, then it might be a bit too long, because it's on a Saturday out of the top of my head. So it is a day on which people also have other things to do, like grocery shopping and things like that. And to be able to focus on all those times might not be the handiest. It's what do you want to do? What do you want to do? When do you want to have the most people in your audience? Is it for certain themes? Is it for certain actions? Those are all things to think about, I think. Yeah, I don't know. It's like I said, it depends on several things. It's not an easy question. Are 12 hours too long? 2 30-minute breaks. That's basically an hour. If you go on, if you look at a normal working day, a normal working day is 8 hours, maybe 9 hours, and you have a half an hour lunch, or at least that's what we have here in the Netherlands. You have half an hour lunch. Extending that to 12 hours could be done. Yeah, then you divide it up in three parts. And I think that could be done. But I think it's important to keep in mind when you want the biggest audience, because that will be defining, I think, for when you plan certain things in that day. Yeah. Shannon, you say, yeah, you've got to get ready for this meeting, and thanks for the sprints. You're welcome. I hope to see you Thursday again. I probably won't be online that much tomorrow, because I have a few plans. So I hopefully see you Thursday. And I'm looking forward to hearing what you guys come up with during this meeting. I wish you good luck and a lot of success with this meeting. And for all of you who have joined us, and if you are still looking for feedback or a sparring partner, feel free to join our Discord. Links is in the description box below. Or if you are on Twitch, the link is in the About page. Yeah, that's something I still need to figure out on Twitch, in the About page, how I can set that up properly. But it is somewhere in the About page. Thank you all for joining us. I had a lovely time. I find it wonderful to talk with you all about world building and about Tergaenae and how my writing process is going, how my world building process is going, how that works for me. And I love talking with you all. I will see you the next time. Bye bye.